Okay, I think I've got the video going. um, this is video 7 for chapter 4. Again, there's just a couple things on the last few pages of that. If you don't have your book out, just pause the video and come back. I want to draw your attention to a chart on page 64. And it looks like this at the top of the page. And I read through this first and I thought it's worth coming back to because we talk about how do we get children talking, what do we talk about, and this chart is kind of an illustration of when you throw an idea out there or a question. Kids, even at a young age, may have very different ways of looking at it due to, how they've heard adults talk about a certain subject maybe, or what their friends think. So in this chart, the question is, what do you think when you see a homeless person? Now, in your communities, I don't know if you see that. Certainly if you go to a city at all, you're going to encounter that. So different responses that kids might have. So I'm starting at the top. The government needs to help them. Then the next one going around, it's their parents' fault, so they should help them. Somebody else might think they're sick and they need medical attention. Someone else might think they're down on their luck and need another chance. They are lazy and need to find a job. I should do something to help them. So this is like a whole range of opinions, from the person needs help to it's their own fault, to their parents should help them, or the government might help them, or I need to help them. All different opinions. And this just points out that we are going to have different opinions in a classroom. And what do we do with those? How do we receive them? The point being that if we want these kids to grow up and be open-minded, accepting of other people, able to handle diversity, then they need to experience diversity in their classroom. It might not be diversity of skin color or language. It can be all different ways. And one way is diversity of thinking. And you can see on the schoolyard when people have different ideas about that, sometimes it can get physical and you can get fights about something because you have a different opinion, different idea. So this chart is important, I think. And there was one other thing on page 70. Take note of the big ideas at the top there. And let's see what else. There's a handout at the back, one of the things that we looked at before, and it is, sorry, I'm not finding this here, 4D. If you can actually turn to that one, because this is about assessment. What is really nice about the teacher type pages that they give for assessment here, you can certainly use this with junior age students as well. You notice it has 3 columns. It's talking about the evidence gathered that we use for assessment. And if you think back, I think it was page 22, there was, in fact, I'll turn to it just so you can see it. No, that's not the chart I wanted. Okay, so the idea that we gather information and we can gather it in different ways. The way teachers are used to gathering it is a piece of paper. Do your seat work or write a test. And this book talks about gathering information on students' learning through conversations and observations and products like the piece of paper. But you read earlier in this book how research has found that conversations are a rich source of information about what a student knows or wants to know. So this reproducible 4D would be a handy thing if you're just kind of getting started to think about different ways of assessing learning. This reminds you that you talk with students, you listen, you observe, and you look at products, whether it's a piece of paper or a creation of some sort or a presentation. So that reproducible is handy to keep in mind. The other thing that I wanted to just run by you is as far as assignments and the responses. In video 5, I mentioned we're about halfway. I have 11 videos I'm planning, and so you should be halfway through the book. But I am not getting anything in assignments. I think 2 people have sent me a couple drafts in that. But you do not want to let these ride. You need to do the responses, do them as you're reading. If you let them build up, they become like a mountain, because then you've got to go back and look at the ideas in that chapter. So please, I should be having a flood of 10 emails every day here, because we're about halfway through and I've got practically nothing. So now is the time to get busy on this, and they're short answers. Don't overthink them. They're meant to be short, and you'll be surprised what I'll learn from reading those. So please, please, please work on the assignments and don't let yourself get behind, because right now you're behind. Okay? So do what you can and start getting those assignments rolling in, please.